This week's fruit of the Spirit that we are diving into in worship is patience. Sometimes we might think of patience as similar to self-control from last week. In a lot of ways, you have to have patience to really master self-control, and if you can't control yourself, you'll never taste the fruits of patience. Self-control is really about our impulses. It's knowing that you are angry or upset or hungry and being able to identify those feelings and refrain from acting on them. In our ministerial development group we have for our college interns, we call this kind of work and gaining self-control, we call it developing our objective inner observer. What this means is being able to either take a step back or to gain a balcony level view to identify why we are feeling how we feel and how do we manage or how do we cope with those feelings. That's self-control. Patience, on the other hand, is being able to tolerate moments or people without getting angry or upset in the first place. Self-control is handling those emotions where patience has failed us. What this means is that if we can really practice patience, we won't have to rely on our self-control as much later down the road. Now, over this quarantine period, to replace some of the social interactions that we're having to miss, Addison and I, we have been having these weekly Zoom chats with some of our friends, and while we're Zooming, we'll watch through old seasons of Survivor. And I'm guessing most of you know about this phenomenon of a TV show, but for those that don't know about Survivor, Survivor is a reality show where 16 strangers are dropped on a remote, exotic island, and they have to survive both the elements and the social dynamics for 39 days for the chance to win $1 million. Watching the show really highlights the difference between self-control and patience. There are players who really struggle with the lack of food or the conflicting personalities, and if on the show you're unable to control your emotions and you become annoying or combative or disengaged, you're probably going to find yourself voted out at a tribal council. But there are always these players. Every season there's always a player who seems much more adept at not letting things bother them, not letting things get under their skin. They're able to speak cool, calm presence at the tribe, and those are the ones who usually end up going the furthest. So self-control is the answer to when we are bothered, and patience is the answer to what are we going to allow to bother us in the first place. And patience is definitely something that I need to work on, because I can sometimes get bothered by a lot very easily. Sometimes I think what bothers me, they are real things that should bother me. A lot of stuff that upsets us, I think we all come by naturally. We get upset when the world isn't set up or working how we think it should. We get upset when people don't act or respond how we might hope they would. When my worldview or hope for the world or for my life or the life of people I love, when it's challenged, it makes sense that I would get upset, because incongruity is frustrating. So developing patience is crucial, because there's always something that's going to upset me, that we can find ourselves just revved up, that we can perpetually exist at this heightened level of anxiety and frustration if we don't have patience. So I think one of the ways we cultivate fruit of the Spirit of patience is to ask the question in these moments, what am I looking for? Towards the beginning of COVID and the protests across the country, my anxiety was heightened to levels it probably hasn't been in a long time, if ever. I kept seeing people argue over masks and if COVID was even really a thing, and then I see post after post about how racism isn't real, and it was about to break me, honestly. So much so that one day when I saw a fellow clergy person, someone who's a friend of mine, post a meme about how, as I interpreted it in the moment, how my anxiety interpreted it, how both COVID and racism isn't really a problem, I kind of snapped. Yes, even your pastors snap and need some forgiveness. But I commented on his Facebook post, which, I don't know, maybe we should only comment on post about babies and puppies, but I commented, and I didn't think I attacked this person's character or anything, but the response he gave me was really eye-opening to me. He said to me, Trey, you don't comment or engage with my other posts, but this is what you want to comment on? And at the time, I kind of brushed it off because what I was commenting on, the issue was really serious to me. But after thinking about it, in a way, he had a point. At that moment, I wasn't looking at him as a brother in Christ. Wasn't looking at him as a longtime friend. But really, I was looking at him as an outlet for my anxiety and stress. And that wasn't fair of me. It certainly wasn't very patient. Engaging with the world right now, there's a lot of tough issues. And we need to wrestle with them. Things in our lives are really hard. But we go about it together. And we need to work and wrestle together and see each other as whole entire people, that people we're frustrated with, that we're not patient with. They're not just individuals who are these personified issues that we simply disagree with, but they're our siblings in Christ. And so when I ask, what am I looking for? It wasn't in that moment that I was looking for a brother or a colleague, but I was looking for a way to outlet my energy. Because it's easier to be upset than it is to be calm right now. It's easy to look at questions or the world, and it's easy to find others as, is this leftist or right-wing, liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican, socialist or capitalist, when patient begins by looking, does this love God? Does this love my neighbor? Is this about justice or kindness or walking humbly with God? Does this grow the fruits of the Spirit? And to grow the fruits of the Spirit in this moment, in this time, it's going to take a little patience from all of us. Patience together to tolerate a little discomfort. I'm really looking forward to Sam's sermon on Sunday and worship, so I hope you'll either tune in on Facebook at 11 a.m. or catch it sometime on YouTube. Talk to you later.